How is everybody doing today? All right. I am going to make it as Friday. We don't have a lot of time for nonsense. So, although I will say, if anybody has any recommendations for internet, we live out in the country and our options are low over here. And I love working out of my home office because I have the privacy to do this and be able to speak as loudly as I need to or as much as I need to without disrupting anything. However, my internet is really starting to frustrate me, to say the least, because my connection is never good, or I can't get connection, or it's just been frustrating. So anyway, if anybody has any recommendations, I am willing to take them. Okay. All right. We're going to jump right into it this morning. However, don't forget, you guys can win things. All you have to do is pop over to my YouTube channel. The link is in the description. Go ahead and like and comment on the video, and you get entered in for the 1-1 with me. We're going to chat about real estate and get you all set up and a game plan going. So anyway, on to the topic, because I know this is something that everybody is asking about, wondering about, questioning. Okay, don't get caught in the rise of inflation. Okay, this is why. Don't get caught in the rise of inflation, and I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, so now is the best time as ever to get into buying a home or locking in your rates. Okay, and I'm going to explain why here, and I'm just going to kind of refer to a video that I did here the other day. And if you haven't seen it, you can catch it on YouTube. It's over there. Everything's all on my channel. But anyway, so the other day, even though I was talking about the rates and what the prediction was for this year, and even though we have a big increase in inflation right now, what the projections were for the 2022 interest rates. Okay, so here's the thing, guys, is the interest rates this year are not projected to go up a ton. So meaning, like, even though I think some of them are like at 2.75% right now, they're not projected to go above 4 as of right now. Okay, as of today, January 2022, they are not projected to go up as of right now any higher than about a 4%, which in the scheme of things is not bad. If you can, we were 4 years ago, we were at 17%, right? So don't sweat it yet at this point. However, you're not going to want to sit on this forever. And I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, this is not going to be interest rates never rise. It's going to stay. Sorry, I have a tickle. Interest rates are not going to stay this low forever. Okay, so you are going to want to do what you can do to get yourself in at a locked-in rate now. Okay, because if in however many years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, inflation goes up, you are still locked into this rate. Okay, that rate is not going to change if you have a fixed rate. Okay, if you have fixed for 5 years and a variable, then yes, after 5 years it's going to change, something that you're going to want to think about. Okay, but if you buy a property right now, your interest rate is not going to go up. Okay, so here's what a lot of the things are predicting is that the inflation right now is resembling a lot of the same similarities of what happened in the 80s. Okay, so for those of you that were not in the 80s, I do recommend you researching that, because interest rates really went up. They really went up. Okay, and they have been working at coming down, and now they are at the lowest they've been forever. Okay, but they're comparing as to what's happening now as far as the inflation as to what was happening in the 80s. Okay, so and the thing is the interest rates coming down and down and down and down, and what has kept this inflation bubble as far as the housing market from popping is the fact of the 2008 housing crisis the mortgage crisis and all that in 2008. If you were tied up in that, I'm super sorry. A lot of people are just now recovering from that, which, it is what it is. Okay. But, we had the government then back then, even in 2008, they kind of put a Band-Aid over it, as in they had done all of these bailouts and all of that kind of thing. Okay. So the government has, and our government is not going to right now allow everything to come up. But at what point do we just rip the Band-Aid off and we let it happen? Right. So inflation is going to happen, but there has to be also a recession at some point, because our dollar can't be worth nothing. Okay. So that's why there has to be some sort of recession at some point. Okay. So if you go back to 2008, what happened was people got in trouble. And then the contractors and stuff were building houses, and then everything kind of came to a halt. Well, they were mass producing these spec homes. Well, now they're not mass producing these spec homes like they were. Okay. So, which creates an issue, because with our generation now, so the problem is like, it's different than the baby boomers. That was a generation where families were having a lot of kids. Okay. They were having a lot of kids. And so, which created a big baby boomer generation. Okay. However, what's happening now is we have a lot of people having 2 or 3 kids, which with that many, we just have we have more population than we've ever had before. Right. Okay. So the problem with that is we are not making houses, because now these people want to go and buy a house because they're having 2 or 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids, whatever. They're having kids, and they need a house, and they want to buy a house. That's where the supply is coming from. That's where the demand is, because these people are needing the house. The supply is just because there's not enough new ones to sell to get people into these other houses. So the house that they were looking at, these new buyers were looking at, that should be $100,000 house, are $150,000 houses. Okay, which is not a bad, because here's the thing: with keeping the interest rates low, they are able to borrow more money towards a house because they're not having to pay as much as interest. Okay. But as the inflation goes up, the interest rate is going to have to start rising, guys. It's going to have to start coming up. Okay. So what do you do to not get caught up in that? Okay. Plain and simple is, if you can afford to lock in a rate and get yourself locked into whatever low rate you're at right now, or get locked into rate, do so now. Get it locked in. Refinance, do whatever you need to do. Get that locked in now. Okay, get it locked in now. And then if in 5 years the interest rates are at 8 to 10%, you're locked in at under 4. So you're still sitting good, okay? Because you don't have all that interest and all that, so you're still sitting pretty good, okay? So yeah, buy while the interest rates are low, and guys, sell while the interest rates are low, and sell while the demand is high. And I know, here's the thing, is I know for us to turn around and we could sell our property, for us to do that and then turn around and buy something is where it's difficult, because we're selling when it's high and buying when it's high. Okay. Not necessarily a good deal. Okay. So, if you're in a position where you're maybe ready to downsize to where you can sell when it's high, but yet you can buy, or even maybe go to a condo or whatever, yeah, you're going to buy when it's high. The interest rates are still going to be low. So you can get yourself locked into something, or, you may not even have to. You may be able to just sell your house and then be able to purchase a condo cash, not have to pay for anything. Okay. So, these are decisions that you have to make for you and for your well-being. But my best advice is to lock in those lower rates now. Either refinance if you need to, whatever. And I don't care how much you have left on your mortgage. if you've got essentially 2 or 3 years to pay, then no, it probably doesn't make sense to lock in a lower rate and get that stretched out even to 15 years. Okay. Does not make sense to that. But if you still have 20 years on your mortgage and you're even at a higher rate than what it is now, I would maybe even look onto a 15-year mortgage and get that lower rate, because a 15-year fixed are even lower than 30. Okay? And then you only have 15, you've just lessened your mortgage by 5 years. Okay. So those are the kind of things about where you're at. Now, if you're a new buyer and you're looking to buy, guys, get in and get it done now. Like, get in there, because we don't know when this bubble's going to pop. You know, the 2008 recession of this has kept it from doing the big kaboom, and it's kept the interest rates low, and it's kept things down. But we don't know where that bubble is, and that bubble keeps rising and rising and rising, and it's going to pop, guys. It has to. It just has to, okay? So that's why, and we don't know where that glass ceiling quite yet. It all depends on this inflation. It all depends on anything. So the only thing we can bank on is the here and the now, okay? The here and the now. So if you can get in and get a financing, get a mortgage with somebody, and get on the go to start buying something, that is the best thing you can do right now, okay? Don't wait thinking, oh, well, gosh, you know, these interest rates, I'm just scared. I don't know what to do. What to do is get low, because even if the housing market does come down, you have purchased at a low interest rate, that's not going to change. Okay. I mean, you're going to have better selling power even if you sell in 10 years and the interest rate's high, because your house is still going to be up there in value, but yet you are going to be able to buy at a lower rate, maybe more interest, but okay. So those are all some really good things to think about. But you know, if you need some reference, go back to what the 80s were. That's what they're predicting this is like. That was like what it was like in the 80s. Okay. Inflation. Now, I know it didn't end well for everybody in the 80s, and it was a rough time. Okay. But like I said, sellers, think about this. If you can rent, if you can downsize and you can go rent, or you can just buy something, downsize and buy something less expensive with your proceeds to what you're selling, sell. We have buyers that need to buy, you know, sell, you know, that kind of thing. If you're thinking it's going to be a possibility in the next 5 years, maybe it's time to do it now, you know, get it sold while the market it's still high and the price is still high, okay? Because eventually that bubble is going to break, guys. We just don't know where the glass ceiling is on this yet. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen anytime this year. I don't think it's going to happen anytime next year, you know? But because, you know, the government is going to control a little bit of that. However, you know, I think that it is in the nearer future than it was even 5 years ago, okay? So think about that, guys. Also, guys, if you just don't know where to start to get financed, if it's something, or you just want to know more about it, I have a free 5-day course that's coming up. Okay, it's going to start January 30th. All right, it is in my free Facebook group. I'm going to talk to you about, you know, the difference between banks, credit unions, all of that. We're going to talk about different mortgages. I'm going to give you an overall amazing foundation. So when you go and you talk to your banker or your loan officer about your mortgage, you are going to have some good insight. So get on over to my free Facebook group. The link is in the description of whatever video you're watching. Okay, the link is in the description. Pop over there, get in, and then you can go under the events tab, and there is a tab that'll get that event on your calendar. You can say I'm going, and you can get it on the calendar. Okay. You guys have an amazing weekend. Have an amazing day. I will see you guys all on Monday.